continuing our conversation now with Steve and with Karen. And Steve, we're just talking in the commercial break about, emotional triggers. So that, you see that SUV that your daughter Amanda was driving that night. You'll be on the road and think of that fateful night when she skidded on the ice. And there are emotional triggers, I think, that you have to recognize, and that people in your life have to recognize.
Well, yes, and everything about her life, it remains present to you, and so you're going to see it all day long. But it's sort of at that. Karen and I were talking about this. One of the reasons that sort of motivated her site, and among other things, was how I was early on. She'd ask, "How you doing?" And it's like, well, it's getting really creepy. People are avoiding me. People in church or whatever, and you can just see them coming in like to veer off because they just don't want to.
They don't know what to say.
What to say. It's not that they don't like me, I'm pretty sure. But it's just, how do I talk to him, and what's it all about, and I don't want to trigger that a crying spell, and what do you do? And she also lost some other people in her family right around that time, and she just realized, oh my goodness, there is no place to help people at that time that's different than the funeral experience or the professionals out there.
I mean, what are some of the questions and answers that you have on your website? Like I think of, there was one person, I know he's from a huge family in the community, and he had just lost his dad. He's a dad at my boys' school, and I just came over and I said, "Give me a hug. I love you."
Right.
And that was it. He knew it was my way, but I didn't go like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," because sometimes I think you feel like you're so wordy that they're like, "Oh, come on, 1,000 people have come up to me." But I mean, is that appropriate? I don't even know if it's appropriate or not, but I just gave him a big old bear hug and said, "I love you," and moved on.
Probably just as quickly as you can, so you didn't have to continue the conversation. I think there's a couple of things floating around my head as I'm talking to you, but one of them, I'm not an expert. I'm not a grief counselor. I'm not from the funeral industry, and so I would interview a lot of people trying to find out this information. And it started personally with my pastor and my friend who's a grief counselor. And then I reached out to the Emily Post Institute and Letitia Baldridge, and I would interview them and get this information and compile it. And Letitia Baldridge, when I interviewed her, as she said these words, I told her I was going to quote it, and it's a quote on my website, because I wanted to know, what do you do, a community member? Is there a different way you should reach out if he's a community member, a close friend, somebody that a coworker? And she said, if you're a loving person, you reach out whenever there's a need. And those words, they give me goosebumps today. And I have them on my website. I think that's just important. Reach out whenever there's a need. People will tell you if they don't want your help. They won't answer the phone if you call. You could reach out with an email. There's ways that you can connect with them and let them know that you're thinking about them. So yeah, giving them a hug is a great way of
just a quick and not lingering on it, but just
right.
Where some people, I think everyone's first reaction is they don't know what to do, so they send food, and you end up with a lot of food, right? The first couple of days, it's almost too much.
Well, and even that was one of the things with Katie and Danny. I went to BJ's Wholesale Club, and I went and got a ton of paper towels and just stuff.
Right.
Not food, because I knew they had a ton of food and a ton of people.
That's
and I
a
just
great
dropped
idea.
it off and then said, "Love you, bye-bye."
Right.
Like sometimes I think just be quick, but just maybe drop off stuff they need, like a bunch of toilet paper, a bunch of soda, a bunch of, stuff that they don't have time to go get.
Offer to mow the lawn, offer to go grocery shopping or pick up the kids, or go to pick up the programs from the printer. Those are all ways that you can be helpful. There's a lot of ways. We have a list of for how you can use your friends and family to help you.
And it's Heart to Soul with the number 2, so that heart2soul.com if you want to reference that. Just some great advice for people, because I think everybody wants to do the right thing, but maybe doesn't have the words or doesn't have the knowledge. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. You you are watching The Dawn Show live. Dawn Stensland-Menti. We're talking about Heart to Soul with the number 2, heart2soul.com, which is a pretty amazing website, and it's unique, one of a kind, created by Karen. We've been talking to Karen and to Steve about the motivation, that it was actually your colleagues, that Steve, after your daughter Amanda died suddenly and tragically, and it's an amazing website that people can go to and get tangible information, which is what I love about it. Even if there's an interfaith issue, or let's say you're one faith and you want to know what is a Muslim or Jewish or Christian or different, it's really great that you give this information on there. And this is something that is not profit. I mean, you do this out of your heart and soul, but this is not something that you get paid for, that anybody benefits except for the person who's looking at the website, right?
Right, and I don't do it alone. There's a gentleman who donates all of his time as well, Ken, and he does all the programming and anything technical. So I've done the design, I do the content, I really, develop all those relationships, and I make sure that it's reliable, credible information.
And does it still help you, Steve? I mean, do you feel that it?
Well, I did go there the other day. I don't go there regularly, I'll be honest with you. But when I do go there, I am just amazed at how it so correctly understands the world I came from.
And we've got to go too, I apologize. Thank you so much. Thanks for being with us today. Heart to Soul is the website.